This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now, authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Hi, welcome to the September show of Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. I'm your monthly hostess here at TSPN TV, and my name is Kathy Boyd Fellure. I am an author/writer, and tonight I have with me a really exciting show for you because I have brought part of our writers group, and we're going to be talking about our Autumn Leaves annual literary read. This year we'll be presenting our 6th read at Clark's Corner. We have had them there since they opened. They're our literary home, and that is where we critique each other's work. And that is actually where I met Dennis. Here on my right is Dennis Yancey. Thank you for coming, Dennis.
You're welcome.
And on my left, Joe Sarti. And actually, you came to us through a read. I believe you signed up after the first read.
Yeah, I saw a flyer at Clark's Corner.
So we are going to be sharing with you a little bit about our October 4th read this year. It's from 5:30 to 8 p.m. and it is free and open to the public. And we have, Joe does our programs every year. This is our 4th year. Victoria Collier used to do them in the beginning. And we have, I'm going to show you here just a little. It's actually a very worked on outline for you of who's reading, who the guest reader is, who the guest pianist is. And we have, from the second year, presented either a screenplay or a stage play. And so this year we have some exciting changes for you with Dennis. I'm hoping I've asked him to stay with the group. Dennis, can you tell them a little bit about your background so they can get to know you?
Well, where do I begin? Been playing the piano most of my life, and music's been a part of my life. And I studied locally, and I was the last student of Elizabeth Ivory Brubeck, the mother of jazz great Dave Brubeck at Ione.
And so you're from Ione?
Mm-hmm. From Ione, born in Cedar Creek, and I'm back on track with the music. I've been playing at Clark's for about a year now. Then I met you a while back, and then this kind of worked into, you know.
I met Dennis listening to his music.
Yeah.
That's how I met him. I wasn't there Friday night's prime rib night, and my husband eats a prime rib, and I didn't know they had a new musician, and I love the piano, so I was thrilled. And he plays beautifully. You want to tell them where you used to play?
I used to play at the old National Hotel in Jackson, and I replaced the afternoon pianist, and then a few months later I replaced the evening pianist. And I lasted about almost 15 years.
Wow.
Afternoons and evenings, all weekend. I was a weekend warrior.
Oh.
And then I was at Biscalia's for a while, and then I'm getting back with the music now. I had a brief hiatus there, and I'm getting back again.
We're all blessed to have you back. And, I missed out on the early beginnings of that. I'm going to go to Jo now so she can tell you a little bit about herself. She's been with us all but the first year of our group.
Yes.
All but the first year. And as I said, she makes these lovely programs.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah. Oh, it's a blessing to us because she edits and edits and edits and edits until it's just right. But tell them what else you do.
Well, I write as well as format and self-publish books. And I help other writers also do that, get their books put together and get them in print.
And what genre do you write?
I'm writing fantasy, sci-fi, and I'm also writing like a general fiction novel. Well, it's more like a fantasy. It's turning out that way as I go along. Plus, I do a lot of poetry.
And you just did a cookbook.
Yes, that was a family cookbook. I redid the old one, the original one, because it was so worn out. Everybody's cookbook was worn out, and they couldn't get new ones made. So I made a special edition cookbook for everybody, and it's my bestseller.
It's our bestseller. I love those old family recipes. That's some of the best ones.
I'll tell you, some of those, I don't know how they lived as long as they did, because cholesterol that was in those things.
It's pretty terrible. Huh?
Oh, yeah. But all my family lives into the 90s. I have a 96-year-old auntie.
Wow, wonderful.
And
good for you.
Yeah, hopeful.
So the cookbook will be for sale at the Reed?
Yes.
Or on an order basis?
I have a couple, and then they can be on order through Amazon.
So you out there in TV land, I'm going to let you know there will be a book table. We always have a book table. Almost everyone in our group is published. We have one brand new person who just came out with her first book. So we're not quite at 100% publication, almost at I'd say 89%. And many of us not only write in the novel fiction genre, but also children's. So the book table is always manned, and you can buy the books and get the authors, meet them personally, and cite them for you. And I'm going to go back to the program that Joe created. Our first reads I did the seasons. There was a Midsummer's Night's read. My daughter Jenny came up with that, and the spring read, and late winter read. But since then, we have stuck with the autumn-fall, which I love. The autumn leaves. It's kind of later in the year. We have all year to prepare for it. And bring people in like Dennis, who like I said, I met him at Clark's. He not only did I enjoy his music and get to hear his piano, and I'll go down there just to hear him play, but he invited me to the church I go to now, where he plays piano too. So that was kind of nice too. And he plays a wide range. You want to share a little bit about your range?
Well, the word would be eclectic. I do everything from ragtime to oldies but goodies to semi-classical, a little bit of everything. And I play by ear, and if need be, I will go get the music if playing by ear is a little bit tricky. So once in a while I go get the music. I'm a sight reader. But it's all by ear. I do my own arrangements, and but the word is eclectic, and so.
Dennis is also into words. He is not just a pianist. I keep telling him he's also a writer. I feel for you. We are a different bunch, but I think you're very much a writer, like the rest of us. And I'm excited. Oh gosh, I always request Moon River. I was talking as we came in, Andy Williams is one of my favorites. And Dear Heart was actually my parents' song. But I love Moon River, and it's in several of my favorite movies. That's a popular song. And he plays it absolutely beautifully. The way you play the music, he's not what I call a piano pounder. No, not at all. It's artfully played, like he feels the music from his soul. Do you say that?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So it's a passion.
Yeah, it is.
And you enjoy it?
Surely I do, but the music itself is what motivates me. I love music, period.
And you're kind of a historian, actually, on a lot of the history of music.
Right. My music teacher after Elizabeth Ivory Brubeck was an implant from San Francisco. She retired to teach in 1962, and I have a photo of her during her professional. She was a very prominent San Francisco musician, and her name was Catherine Kay.
What a photo!
And I studied with her, preparing for a concert career. After high school, I lived at her home, and she had been a child prodigy, and all during the 1930s and 40s and into the 50s, she had been a theater pianist in San Francisco, accompanying various acts, anywhere from jugglers to vocalists to ballet, and she also had a vocal career, which she wasn't able to pursue. I have one more photo of her too. I'll set this over here.
Dennis has brought us lovely photography tonight.
And this was her in 1958.
She's stunning.
And I first heard her perform at the Hammond organ at the Amador County Fair in 1963.
Can you tell the audience how old she is there?
She's 52 years old here.
Lovely woman.
In 1958. And so...
You heard her play the organ at the Amador County Fair?
At Amador County Fair. She had branched out to playing for fairs and rodeos, and she was also at the Hammond organ at the Miss California pageant at the Boardwalk. But we linked up, and concert career was in the works. I lived at her home, and then the Vietnam War heated up. I was drafted, and
that was a big surprise.
Yeah, then my studies were interrupted, and then when I got out of the service, I just started branching out to more popular jazz and a little bit of everything.
Did you play while you were in the service?
Oh yes, I was in special services, and then.
Is it okay if I ask what your job was?
I was chaplain's assistant.
Chaplain's assistant.
Yeah, in Vietnam.
Where were you in Vietnam?
Where?
Where?
Quin Yon, 41st Signal Battalion.
Wow.
And how I ended up there is, who knows? I was dropped off.
Yeah, I'm sure you were. Well, Dennis, let me thank you for your service, sir. I appreciate that.
You.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyway, but anyway, then I've kept in touch with her, and incidentally, she arrived in San Francisco in 1920, and I've been working on a biography of her life, and it's.
I want to hear all about that. We have to take a break,
okay.
But you remember where you are.
Okay.
This is absolutely fascinating. Please come back and join us for the second segment and learn some more.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN.
Global Knockout.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond. This program also streams live on the web at TSPNTV.com and can be watched on demand at TSPNTV.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Hi, welcome back for the second segment of Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. If you just joined us, I'm Kathy Boyd Fellure, your hostess, and I'm going to talk a little about our literary home at Clark's Corner in Ione. That's where I founded the group with my daughter Jen, and that's where we meet, we critique, we edit. We also partake of the lovely delicacies there, including sandwiches, salads, and Myra's wonderful homemade soups. And I have to brag about the new manager Amber's white sauce vegetable lasagna. Being Italian, it was almost sinful to eat. And so they offer a wonderful fare. And like our event that they hold annually, they also host our children's read, which we now do during Tuesday story time. Please bring your children and nieces and nephews and grandchildren for story time Tuesdays at 9. And enjoy the other events. Craig Clark has a cycling event coming up the week after us, if you're a cyclist. And also, we are next door to Hein & Company. And I made a little side trip in there on the way in, dropping off books. They have a wonderful department for not just readers and authors, but also for plays. And their new murder mystery theater upstairs is just really starting to take off. It's an amazing opportunity. You should watch the papers and visit the store, plan to spend the day. They have tables and coffee and tea. And I homeschooled there for 5 years with my children. And Wolf was gracious enough to let homeschoolers basically plant themselves. And you can find new, rare, and used books there. It is a writer's heaven on earth. And I think for anybody that enjoys the cameras and the music too, you would enjoy yourself there. I'm going to get back to where we left off. I'm so sorry. I hated to interrupt you because you were absolutely fascinating to me. Dennis is sharing about his background in music. And you want to pick up where we stopped?
Yeah. My last piano teacher played a very important part in my life. And I've been trying to amass some data for a potential biography of her, but I've did a lot of missing spaces in her life, and she didn't leave. She passed away in 1972 and did not leave a lot of memorabilia. But I have to say, as a musician, I have never encountered anyone that knew music so thoroughly as she did, forwards and backwards.
Wow.
As I said, she had been a child prodigy and exemplary teacher and a beautiful woman and a prominent San Francisco musician during the Depression. And there's such food for a biography, but I've been looking up her life for about 30 years, and I've still blank spots.
I told you, Dennis, you are a writer.
Okay. So I'll
Lots of
continue to research.
And she is, who are you talking about?
Her name?
Mm-hmm.
Catherine Kay was her professional name.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew her as Mrs. Duff that was her married name, her last husband, at Center Creek. And she died in 1972 suddenly. And
So that was probably a shock for you.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
We were getting ready to kind of resume some informal lessons, and I was living in Stockton, performing down there, and she died suddenly. And
Great loss.
a lot of things in my life have happened
suddenly.
without warning, and but
It's a sad loss.
yes. But
You were talking also about the sisters group.
oh yeah, when I started branching out, I was playing up at Lake Tahoe, and a club up there, and I got off in the middle of the morning and turned on the TV in my room, and I was half asleep, and they were showing a 1932 old movie called The Big Broadcast, which featured radio performers of the day. And I was about ready to doze off, and the announcer said, and now the Boswell sisters. Now, I'd never heard of the Boswell sisters. I'd heard of the Andrews sisters, whom I admired greatly. I loved close harmony singing, and I loved their style. But long story short, I started researching the Boswells. They were the first vocal trio to achieve international fame during the Depression. There were three of them: Connie, the lead, Martha, the eldest, and Vet. And this was in the 70s when I discovered them, and they started reissuing their old recordings that they had made in the 30s. And long story short again, there was one left, living in Peekskill. I wrote her, never heard a word.
Well, that took courage.
It did.
Definitely.
I started hearing rumblings, does not grant interviews, recluse, is not all there, even little things like that. And so finally, one day I got her phone number, and she invited me up right then and there.
Wow.
She said, "When are you coming up? I'll have the piano tuned for you." So we met August 7th, 1978, and I knew her 10 years. And she, even though a close harmony trio, the harmony that they did was innovative, ahead of its time, sophisticated, and even though a pianist, I utilized some of the harmony riffs that they did, incorporated into my music, plus knowing the last of the trio, who could ask for anything more?
Oh my goodness! And you have a photo.
And I have a this was the Boswell sisters, from New Orleans, and
From New Orleans.
they were originally from New Orleans and arrived in New York in 1931. From top to bottom is Vet, short for Helvetia. Middle is Connie, the lead of the trio, and the bottom is Martha, who was the pianist and sang quite a bit of the melody. So this was an enlargement from a photo she gave me. And
What a lovely, another beautiful photograph. My goodness.
And here's another one. When I met her, she gave me out of her personal collection. This is an original sepia print. And
How lovely. Oh my gosh, I
can you see it?
Yeah,
it is
it's
just beautiful. I
And-
love their sweet faces.
And
And she wrote a personal note in there to you.
she wrote, "To dear Dennis, don't stay away too long. I'll miss you from Vet."
Oh, lovely. That's my night for the word, folks. Lovely.
And this is a small photograph upon our meeting. This was taken August 12th, 78, and out of Peekskill, New York. So I was younger there, and
That is a great
and
photo,
she became
too.
a subsequent mentor, as was my music teacher, piano music teacher here in Amador County. There's a resurgence in interest in their sound, and there's a major biography, American Masters, being prepared that will air on public television in December. A book is in the works, and but if you enjoyed the Andrews sisters,
We'll let the Boswell sisters.
yeah, listen to the Boswells.
Thank you so much for sharing. I love the history, and we'll have to make more of a point. We'll be having a little party to watch that special.
Yeah, okay. In December.
In December, you'll remind us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Joe, you want to share a little about the program? Dennis's music is on here, but other than that. since you-
Oh, well, what do I say? Actually, I'm looking forward to listening to Dennis play. I haven't heard him yet. I haven't had that pleasure, and I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, thank you.
And then it's quite a feat between Kathy and I to get this set up for the poetry and the people who are going to read. We have a guest reader who is Betty Ruth Weatherby, and then Sarah's going to grace us with a stage play, so we're going to have some fun there. And the rest of us, we give a little bit of ourselves to the audience. We try to let them know what we are trying to say in our stories, our poetry, and it's a lot of fun. I'm going to read a couple of my poems, and then there's a lot of them coming out to read their books. Kathy started a new book, and I'm anxious to hear that one. And so it's something to put that together, and it's very satisfying too.
I am excited for you. I hope you join us because it is going to be a lovely evening between Dennis's wonderful arrangements and the new writing from a lot of the writers. So come back and I'll tell you a little bit more in the third segment.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN. You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us for our third segment of Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. And if you just tuned in, I'm Kathy Boyd Fellure, and Dennis Yancey and Joe Sarti are with me today, and we're talking about a 6th annual literary read, Autumn Leaves literary read, at Clark's Corner in Ione, an annual event that amateur writers Amateur Fiction Writers hosts every year with the wonderful support of Craig and Lou Clark, the owners. Amazing opportunity for us to give back to the public our talents that we're all gifted with in different ways, to do short 5-minute reads interspersed with Dennis opening the program with 2 songs. And then we'll have an intermission where you can chat with Dennis and all of the authors and writers. And then he will reopen after intermission, and Betty will be our guest reader. And there's a 1-act stage play, and then some more reads. And then Dennis closes. And it's just a lovely evening. Clark serves beer and wine if you want to come after work. You can buy your dinner there. And I want to talk a little bit about the genres that we have a real variety of writers in our group. Monday started out to be our original group with children's writers. And we have a lot in the historical fiction genre area now, just fascinating. Kind of ties in with your history you're giving us with your past with your music. Historical is very big in our group. And we have a couple writers. John moved back to Sweden. Sad loss for us, but he's our first international member over there. Hi, John. And I'll miss him this year during this time. But Jo has a poetry book here that she will share with you a little bit about, that with new artwork in it, right? New artwork on the
Yes, yeah. The poems that are in this book, I originally put together in 2 volumes back in 97 and 99 with some co-workers when I worked at Valley Transportation Authority in San Jose. And I did my best to try to, put the books together, but I didn't know what I was doing. And now that I do, I wanted to do justice by the poetry. There's some beautiful work here. And so I made a new book, a special edition for them, and I call it Poetry in Motion. And to get the motion going, I had my granddaughter do some illustrations for me. And it's an eagle in flight, or an owl in flight, excuse me. Sorry, Chelsea. And it's really, really a fun thing.
Is there another one on the back cover?
Yeah, there's a sitting owl, or perched.
A little different.
Yeah. And she was going to do a bunch, but she didn't have time, so we just left it at a couple pictures. But the poetry is beautiful, and I'm really looking forward to it. There were also short stories in my second volume, but I'm going to do a separate book of that.
For that?
Yeah, and do better justice to that, too.
You know, that kind of leads into the fact that we are not just writers, we also have illustrators.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Lemley, who works at Clark, my daughter Jen, that works at Clark's, is an illustrator. Donna Plant is my illustrator, and we have new ones coming in that work with out of state in Nevada. Colleen is another illustrator. Betty's daughter, our guest reader's daughter, illustrated 3 sets of children's books. Yours, Betty's, and her own.
Yes.
And I'm just really excited because when Jenny and I founded the group, I'm from Sacramento, and being planted here, I wanted to be a part of the community, and so was felt all alone and didn't even know there was actually a bigger writers community up in Mokill, and was able to offer an opportunity for writers that had not yet been published. Betty had not yet been published. While she's been with us, she has written 6 children's books, and just the one she's reading from for the read is her 4th World War II novel. And it's a wonderful story. Jo and I have had our first children's books come out. You have 4, a series of 4.
Yes.
Ariana's Rainbow.
Yes.
And I have the Blake Sisters Lake Tahoe Adventures. But we're also working, as we said earlier, on novels. Mine, the On the Water's Edge, women's contemporary with historical bent and literary bent. And Jo's are, as you said, kind of...
They're more a fantasy and where they have special powers.
Actually, I'm going to give you a couple of names just to give you an idea of what you'd be coming into. These are down at Clark's Corner. You can go down there and look at them. They're at some of the local libraries, and I'll be leaving a couple at Hiding Company. Carrie McAllister is our newest writer, and she'll be reading poetry. She did a great job at this year's Children's Read. Antoinette May Herndon was my first guest reader, and she is gracing us with her presence with the first chapter from her book that is sitting in New York being considered Mary's Monster about Mary Shelley. Wonderful, beautifully written, some of the best writing I've ever read in my life. And Pam Dunn, her first piece of published work comes out this November 15th in the local Manzanita Writers Press book, Wine, Cheese, and Chocolate. And I'm thrilled for her. That launches up in Camp's restaurant, I think Angel's Camp. And she's reading the first chapter from Once Upon a Blue Moon. She's one of the best literary writers I've ever met. I am following Pam, which is a hard thing to do, and I'm reading from Azure Shores, which is the third book in my trilogy, and this is the first reading from Azure Shores. I'll be reading from chapter 10. Sarah, who is part of our group and works also here at the station, will be reading her young adult fantasy, Sinking. She'll be reading from that. And then we have our intermission, and we also exhibit art and photography for a month that we have the read. So you get to see Sarah's a photographer, I'm a photographer. We have had a lot of members that are photographers, and also the children's books illustrators and artists in our group share with you their art for free. Again, this is all free and open to the public. Then Dennis will bring us back in with songs that relate to introducing the guest reader, Betty Ruth Weatherby's book, The Crossroads, 4 in a series. She'll be reading from chapter 1, Tragedy at Sea. Sarah comes back with her stage play, and the stage play is kind of a signature for our read that I hadn't anticipated. I didn't have it the first year. I kind of based these on the Squaw Valley Writers reads that they do up there that Oakley Hall does. I love to sit through the Squaw reads. And Nancy Ann Ralph did our first few years of stage screenplay. She used to work down in Hollywood with Jim Henson. Sarah has taken over that, and actor Robert Schell and actress Diana Heim will be acting in the right numbers. And then we have Joe with the poetry and some more of amateur writers, and Manzanita Writers Press. There will be a information for you on the release of Wine, Cheese, and Chocolate. I have one photograph in there. And then I'll close, and Dennis will be the last one you see, hear, and listen to with his wonderful music, which I think if you haven't heard him, you will be so pleasantly surprised. He is ending with 3 songs. And I think you picked the last 3.
Yeah, it was just kind of random, too. I don't know why they came to me, but...
Autumn Leaves sure fits our theme.
Well, surely that. And then last time I saw Paris is very beautiful. And Beyond the Sea is not too shabby either.
No, it's not. I love your range that you play, because we get a little of pretty much everything. And sometimes you have someone there with you on the saxophone at Clark's. You've had someone playing harmonica. I think the first time I saw you, though, you were all alone. Several times I've seen you on your own
We have
solo.
an occasional singer, too.
Oh, an occasional singer. Who is that?
Well, no comment.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that. I haven't experienced that yet. So you see, there's such a when people that are given the creative soul that we've all been given, and I'm sure all of you out there's some of that in you. I think in giving it back is where the great reward is for us. And that's what this program's all about. It's about giving back and thanking the community. And I, again, cannot say enough thank you to Craig Clark for his imagination and his own creativity as the entrepreneur that opened Clark's Corner to be the local community hub. We had really nothing here in Ione before. And he just hosts a variety, adding the buffet in the back, the banquet room, and the lovely garden area, patio area, and even now there's outside seating on the street. We kind of tend to meet in the back room, sometimes in the front room. And I just want to give you a little bit of insight into, same thing as people that write music, because the first thing I wrote were the song lyrics. I couldn't write the music. don't have the ear for that, you do. But it isn't just happen, does it, Joe? It does not just happen. We rewrite and critique and critique and edit.
I think there's only been 3 instances in my poetry where I thought of something and sat down and wrote it down. And the rest of the time I'm thinking and thinking and thinking and making notes, and then it creates itself. But I love the ones that are spur of the moment. So.
Probably same for you when you're playing.
Yeah.
Is it all in your head first? Or in the fingers?
Probably a little of both. Yeah. It's just kind of a spontaneous person, but I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of hard to
define.
Yeah, to define. My secret is I love music, period, irrespective of my ability to play.
Well,
I enjoy listening as much as playing.
Oh, see.
And if it weren't for that, I would not be a musician. The music itself, you know, it's where it's at. Yeah, it's where it's at. You know.
Well, before we go to our final break, I would just like to encourage you to come back and hear a little bit more from our pianist Dennis and our wonderful writer / author / program and bookie person. I'm going to call you bookie, Joe Sarti.
Yeah,
Thanks
bookie.
for joining us and come on back.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN. Buy and sell press. This program also streams live on the web at tspntv.com and can be watched on demand at tspntv.com or TSPN TV's YouTube channel. And now back to authors, writers, books, and beyond.
Welcome back to the final segment of Authors, Writers, Books, and Beyond. And I'm your hostess, Boyd Fellure, and our pianist with us, and Joe Sarti, fellow we're talking about the annual literary on October 4th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Buy any food you want there and beverage you want there while during the week. This year, for the first time, we are doing the reservations if you want up front row. You can either call Parks at 274-2233, or you can email me at KATHY, and this is some people have a hard time hearing and they need the upfront seats, and that was a request after last year. And I also want to mention that we are looking for a male viewpoint. The Friday groups are open for a male writer, otherwise closed because we have 4 or 5 females in each group, and the Monday group is also open.
I hope this works for you, okay?
Okay.
Just keep talking.
And you're welcome to give us a call and email me or go on our website, amateurfictionwriters.com, and you can send us a message on there through that. Hopefully you can hear me, and I'm coming through to you okay. But we are very interested. We lost our John, as I said earlier, to Sweden, and it's hard for us only women group to have that male viewpoint. He was our international thriller writer, and as long as it's fiction, you're welcome to check it out, and maybe you want to go to the read and see if we're a good fit for you. Here's a little local paper I'm going to show you. Was in Friday's paper, the lifestyle section. They gave us the little banner. This is one of our press release photos for 2014 that they were very gracious to put as a banner on the paper with, this is Joe, and we're on the top here, sorry. Joe here, Betty's not in it, Betty took it. Yeah, Joe, I'm in here, Carrie and Pam Dunn, and Sarah. And if you go a little deeper into the paper, here in the community calendar, the entertainment calendar, you can read all about it. We're right over here. Gives you all the information you need. And there will be also something coming out in the Sierra Lodestar. So we've tried to give you all the info. There are flyers out around town in the libraries and also at Clark's Corner to kind of give you an outlook. If you're curious and you've never been to a literary read before, that's very common. until I went to Squaw Valley 20 years ago, I had never sat through one. Now I look for them. And so you can give me a call or email me. My name, Boyd Fellure, is in the local phone book with my husband, Joe. And I'm at 0205. And you can ask any questions you want. If you have some questions, if you have any requests for Dennis, sometimes the pianist or musician does an encore. So he'll be thinking about that. So you might want to be thinking about songs you might want to hear. Dennis pretty much has played anything and everything I've ever asked him if he knows. He has not yet told me, I don't know that. I don't want to put you on the spot. I mean, he may have to tell you that. But he has such a wide range of music, and he plays so beautifully. I can't imagine someone coming and probably you have a regular following there on Fridays already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worked out very well.
Yeah.
I've been there almost a year now. Come November 22nd. Would have been the 50th anniversary of President Kennedy's assassination. I began there. And I enjoy playing there. And it's laid-back atmosphere, you know. And not a lot of drinking either, which I like, you know, which I like.
Yeah, there's a lot of tea and coffee there, folks.
Yeah.
And juice.
Yeah, right.
And then, Joe, did you want to share something from inside your book? Another illustration you were showing us during break?
Yeah, this is another one of illustration that my granddaughter did for my book. It's an owl perched on some books. And
that's perfect.
Yeah, it does. It's gets the point across real good. So.
And Joe's going to be reading two poems. She has another wide range in the genres that you write in.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have a literary agent, and she signed me for the contemporary women's, and she prefers we stay in that genre. She does not represent my children's, just my novels. And actually, Wendy's in Missouri right now for the American Christian Fiction Writers Conference, and I'm here with you, trying to share the love here. I think, as Dennis said, we have to have a passion and a love for it. It's part of us.
Right.
It's very much a part of us. I know all the readers, and not everyone in our group reads, but they come and support us. Kitty Haspel will be there, and she's, oh my gosh, just a wonderful writer. One day you'll be reading her story we're working on, and Carolyn Bachen's a part of the group. Not everybody reads. Jenny Grossenbacher won't be reading this year. She read last year. And every year we try to offer something original, something that falls on us as creative people. I don't think anybody's read anything twice for you at all. We have different chapters maybe from the same book, but we haven't read the same chapter. And Dennis always plays different music. We meet on Fridays, so we meet at noon, and we're pretty much there till you start practicing at 4:30. So I get to sneak in and hear before I pick up my husband at 5:30. At Cal Fire, I get to hear him practice and then start playing.
I just worked up a song that had been sitting on my piano and for months now, from the movie Summertime with Katharine Hepburn, the Summertime in Venice. And one night, about a week ago, I thought to myself, why don't I learn that one just for the heck of it? I had the music, though, so that's a very beautiful song, too.
Yes.
Summertime in Venice. So that's the kind of what I go through. I just get little streaks of inspiration to play this or that, and doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason, you know?
Just the way it is.
It's the way it is.
Yeah.
And I would like to interject something. Your viewers might be interested. An amazing credential of the Boswell sisters was that when Ella Fitzgerald was a teenager, she not only fell in love with the Boswells, but she tried to imitate the lead of the trio, Connie.
Just fascinating.
And a lot of her interviews, she always credits Connie with her inspiration, and that's quite a credential.
Oh, it is.
And Of course, the Andrews tried to imitate them, but they were overlooked by history. And as you alluded to earlier, Joe, the Andrews got a lot of the publicity through World War II,
Yes.
and deservedly, you know,
yes,
and
of course.
they were quite talented. But the Boswells, they did such amazing harmonic gyrations and changes, and that were extraordinarily sophisticated for the day. And I had one friend tell me that he was a progressive jazz devotee, but he said they were incredibly ahead of their time. So, and
Sounds like
there's as I mentioned, there's a resurgence in interest. So they're having a second career, you know.
And that's wonderful
you know,
for this generation. I
Yeah.
think that, to me, that's what I call pure music. It wasn't altered
right.
and digitally altered or remastered.
They did their own arrangements, and Connie, the lead, was so adept she could sing harmony, lead, melody, and my friend Vet was mostly on harmony. And as I said once, she said, "You know, Dennis, harmony isn't the easiest thing to sing," and I thought to myself, well, here you are, you know. But I thought a great deal of her. She was very down to earth and very unpretentious, and sometimes she would call me and we'd talk 4 or 5 hours on the phone, just going over a chord change or something. Just, and I miss her, and
How blessed you were to know her.
very much so. And all these, she did tell me she was the shy one of the trio, and Martha and Connie were more extroverted. Which just goes to show you, you know, I heard all these stories, you know, did not grant. You can't always believe everything you read or hear. You know, you can't always, you know. And,
I am so grateful for you sharing that wonderful part of history that I think a lot of you out there probably didn't know. Some of you probably did.
yeah.
But I think you can see through the read, everybody brings something different. It is not boring, I can tell you that. It is shorter. You must be most grateful for that, because in the beginning, bless you that came. There was like 100 people, and we read till 11 at night. And so you'll be getting a little smaller sampling of our passions. I hope that you will join us. Again, it's October 4th. Did you have something real quick to say? Because we're getting ready to leave.
No, do you play every day at the...
Or just Fridays.
Just Friday?
Yeah.
You start practicing at 4:30.
Yeah.
And then you
Kinda
play at
5 to 8.
5 to 8.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss
Bring
it.
my nephew.
Yeah.
He's a musician.
And you know, if you can't come October 4th, come listen to Dennis on Friday nights. It's prime rib night. And you can't miss him. He's right there in front of the piano. And I hope you will join us, though. Come and enjoy a wonderful evening of something very special that is just for you. So thank you again, Dennis and Joe, for being with us. And I really appreciate you sharing. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN.